This message is for every business owner in St. Kitts and Nevis. Jumpstart your business and set yourself apart from your competitors with an advertising solution from ZIZ Radio, ZIZ Television, or Big Wave. The Advertising Solutions Department at ZIZ prides itself on providing client-focused advertising solutions that make sense for all local businesses. Don't use the excuse that you can't afford to advertise. Call us at 465-2621. We will sit with you, discover your needs, and design a solution that fits your budget. Advertising works, and with ZIZ, it works even better for your business.
Get ready to ignite your mornings with Fire Talk. Tune in every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. on ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM for 15 minutes of blazing hot conversations featuring Robin Williams and Timothy Martin. They'll be discussing the latest fire updates, trends, and topics that matter to you. Don't miss out on the heat. Fire Talk every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. on ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM.
At ZIZ, we want to take a moment to salute our small business owners and encourage you to support them. Our small business owners are always hard at work providing quality goods and services to you. They also provide employment for many and can be counted on to give back to our communities. Today and every day, we salute our small business owners and we say thank you for the opportunity to provide advertising services to you. If you're a small business, call us at 465-2621 to join our family of small business advertisers. Call us 465-2621. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome back. Let me just take some time out and send some birthday greetings to Angela. That's Angela who works here with Ms. Hobson in St. Peter's. Good morning to you, Angela, and happy birthday to you. Welcome to all of our viewers, all of our listeners, wherever you may be around the world or here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Welcome to Fire Talk for today, Tuesday, the 26th day of September. I'm yours truly, St. Clair, also known as the man behind the queue. And in the studio with me from the St. Kitts and Nevis Fire Rescue Services, I have Timothy Martin and Acting Fire Chief Romel Williams. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to the studio once again.
Good morning, JQ. Pleasure to be here with you this morning. Good morning, listening audience.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Happy to be back. Good morning to the listening audience. A real pleasure to be on air this morning.
All right, great. Timothy, I'm going to let you start our conversation and then we take it from there.
Yeah, man.
All right, so JQ, on the 20th of September 2023, there was an unusual incident for us in the Federation that took place over in Nevis, where a small aircraft, Piper Cherokee, it crash landed in the ocean. This was about 50 yards from shore over at Herbert's Beach, Newcastle. So there were two occupants on board, the pilot, and there was a co-pilot, a pilot that was actually a student pilot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he was, learning how to fly planes. Mm-hmm. So those were the only two souls that were on board, and the aircraft developed some engine trouble, coming from Antigua, VC Bird International Airport, heading back to St. Martin. They developed some engine trouble. So they thought that the closest point to do a landing would have been over at Newcastle Airport. Mm-hmm. However, they did not make it to the airport. They dropped short of that, just about a mile away from the airport. Our department at the Newcastle Airport, they received that call about 17:58, which was just about 2 minutes to 6 that evening. Mm-hmm. So they responded. Persons they normally hear that, you know, the fire trucks at the airport, they can't leave. However, we just want to highlight within an aircraft incident outside of the airport, that gives them the authority to leave and attend to that scene. Whether it is actually just a plane crash landing or he happened to land safely, they would still need to respond in order to find out you know, what the circumstances are. So we were able to respond. The guys and them from the Newcastle airport were able to respond over to Herbert's Beach to that incident.
What were the immediate challenges they faced upon arriving at the scene of the plane crashing the sea?
Well, of course, with an incident like that taking place, you would have onlookers, and bystanders. They would come and bombard the shore, you know, to see what's happening. So that was one of the challenges that the officers noted. The crowd control was not there initially, you know. So you had our officers mingling with the general public, etc. So that posed a challenge for them when they arrived on scene.
And one of the other challenge was because those those aircraft firefighting appliance trucks, they are designed solely for airport. So in most cases, they are really huge trucks. They are much larger than the regular municipal trucks. So one of the challenges we would have is maneuvering. And so I think one of the challenges I had was actually maneuvering to get down to where the beach was, because of the tight corner, the tight turn they had to take. So those two are some of the challenges we have to face. And we would have experienced that even in St. Kitts, while it was not an aircraft incident, where we had the Harsford building just on the bottom of the Independence Square. When that was on fire, we had to move some of the aerodrome trucks, at least two from the airport. And again, because of the size of those trucks, maneuvering was an issue. So again, that's one of the reasons why we those trucks are not always first option. They're the last option, right? And the trucks in St. Kitts are even probably twice or maybe 1.5 times the size of the one in Nevis. And so that was one of the challenges we would have faced, to maneuvering to get to actually where the beach was, to get on scene.
Let's talk about coordination of team. Who were the teams involved in terms of outside of other agencies, outside of fire?
So we had fire and rescue was present, police was present, the disaster office over in Nevis, and the NDMD. We also had the health department, EMS, the medical aspect was on site. Eventually, we had outside interventions like from construction companies, LEFCO, and eventually like the customs, etc. They came into play. So there was coordination between the various agencies, each agency carrying out its different role and functions, had an integral part to play with the whole execution of what took place.
Timothy? Romel, you were going to say something?
Because if I'm not mistaken, I think you might have had fishermen as well who were involved. Because what happened, I think they had to pull the plane from the water.
Yeah,
so
someone.
It means then we had to have ropes and what's not from the truck to the plane. So somebody had to take the rope and tie it to the plane. And so I think we had local fishermen or boat operators.
So the plane was taken from the water?
Yes, it was in the water.
Okay.
And so they had to pull it from the water to shore. And then we had crane operators, private, who would have lifted the plane and put it on flatbeds to transport it to the airport. So it was multi-agency, both government and private sectors. So it was a multi-agency effort.
Now, I know you've expressed this more than once when on different programs here, in terms of when you have an emergency and you have different agency on board dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that wasn't planned. Who was leading that coordination on that day? Or was it just we got on the scene and everyone just said, hey, you know what, we're not worrying about who's in charge, let's see what we can do here?
And this is where we come back now to incident command. I think we would have brushed through that in some of our previous session. If there isn't a proper incident command system or setup in place, then you're going to have chaos. Now, when it comes to national disasters, the disaster office takes the lead, and there's something that you call a unity of command. Depend on because you may have a scenario where there's different aspects to the scenario, and depend on what is happening at the time, that would determine which agency takes the lead at the time. And so you have and sometimes it's not a fully constructed room where a person is sitting behind desk and what's not, but you have the different heads. And let's say in that particular scenario, the boat is in the water. If Coast Guard was on scene, then Coast Guard would take the lead, because anything to do with water and water rescue is Coast Guard. Once the plane gets to shore, then Coast Guard will hand over either to police, and if there's a fire incident, then fire department takes the lead, right? And then the investigative side of it, we hand over to police. And if there are casualties that need medical treatment, then EMS would come in and take lead. So it's just persons dealing with different aspects of the same incident based on what the incident is and based on the agencies that are present, right? It's just like you have a hurricane, you know, NEMA is lead because that's a national disaster. If there's a fire breakout, then you know that's fire. But NEMA is still the head, because it's a scenario that happened inside of the national disaster.
Right.
And so on that scene, like I said, while there was probably not a structured center per se, the incident command system would have had to take place in some form in order to eliminate chaos. If everybody was just doing what they feel like, then you would probably have some more injuries that were not even related to the crash. And so, you know, there had to be some sense of incident command where different agencies would take over depending on what needed to be done and what's not.
The reason why I asked that is because I'm looking at the turnaround time. How long were these guys in the water for? Was it a situation where they were trying to hold on to the plane for their lives? They could have, they had on life jacket, they were in the water. What was the situation at hand?
Okay, so the situation was that the plane did not dive into deep waters. It was fairly shallow. However, the occupants, they were able to get out of the plane, and they got to shore using a life raft. So they were able to deploy an emergency life raft from the plane, and they were able to get to shore with that life raft. So there wasn't a lot of complexities in terms of, you know, having them stranded out there.
So there were no unique obstacles.
There weren't any unique obstacles for them to get to shore.
So was it a case of they made the call, or was it somebody who saw what was going on made the call?
I don't know who initially made the call, but they would have radioed to the control tower that they're having an emergency in terms of them trying to get to the airport. So that would have been done, but I think it would have been, well, I could say for the municipal side, the municipal side got that call from the police. So someone may have called 911 to initiate the movements from the municipal side. The aerodrome side would have been, from maybe the control tower.
So for that situation, even though it sounded dire, it wasn't really a dire situation. The issue at hand was getting the plane out of the water then.
Right. It wasn't a dire situation in terms of, you had a lot of casualties, etc. The persons who got out of the plane, one of them just suffered minor damages, I think, to his left hand, and he was just sent to the hospital as a precaution, just to get checked out. And he was released the same time.
Right.
The other pilot, he was checked unseen by the emergency medical personnel, and he didn't have to go to the hospital.
Yeah, okay. So that's why you indicated earlier the obstruction for you guys to get the plane out of the water was the people on the ground.
Yeah, most of the time
and the size of the truck.
They are hindering. Sometimes it takes some time to get full control over the onlookers. And even while we have police assistance and, to cordon off the area, there are some persons who still, are somewhat reluctant to adhere to what the police is saying. And even though you see a caution tape, still persons they just want to. And in this technological age, everybody wants to say that they're the first to send a video viral for whatever reason. So when things happen, the first thing people do, they pull out the phone and they want to get up close, so they will literally go under the caution tape and take a quick picture and run back. But from the pictures, you see there were a lot of onlookers, and sometimes the onlookers they could be to our advantage too, because we could end up use them for additional manpower. And so that scenario, it has its pros and cons when it comes to onlookers. But there's sometimes an obstacle. Sometimes.
The time of day could be a factor as well. You recognize 2 minutes to 6 is getting into the evening time where the sun is beginning to set and so forth. So our major lighting, which is the sun, is now dimming. So we had to get the lighting being set up where we would be able to see better throughout the night.
Right.
Another challenge that the mission posed was getting the plane from Herbert's Beach to the airport. The distance is short, however, it took them about 5 hours to get that plane to the airport, just because of not terrain, but the navigations that they had to take. Bearing in mind that there are trees that were obstacles, the poles with the lines overhead, etc. So they had to work around those obstacles to get to where they wanted to rest the plane.
Right, 5 hours. Oh my goodness. Well, obviously, the special equipment had to be the crane because the truck wasn't prepared for that then. So it was hoisted.
It was hoisted.
Actually lifted and then rest on a flatbed trailer.
Wow. I'm thinking about the wingspan. Yeah.
That was
so
my
that
first
had to be taken into consideration in terms of the route to take to get to there as well. Because of course, you wouldn't want to cause more damage to the plane than the crash already did.
Was there any significant damage to the plane?
The damages, I have one or two listed here, where the front landing gear and the nose was damaged, and the left wing was damaged as well.
You made mention of the Coast Guard. What happened to them? Earlier you mentioned the fire department, police, EMS?
Yes, EMS was on scene.
I don't think you mentioned Coast Guard.
I didn't mention Coast Guard. Even though a call went out to the Coast Guard, they had another operation running in St. Kitts. so they weren't able to get over to that incident. In terms of the boat as well too, the boats and them at the Coast Guard is props. Inside of where the plane crash was more reefy type area. It was a reefy location, so they may not have gotten too close, right, next to the plane in order to do anything. So because of the props that in the water.
Anything from your end before we move on?
No, we could go.
Okay. We got about 5 more minutes left inside of the program. Dealing with this situation, I'm guessing this is the first time for both of you dealing with a plane crash. Anything you picked up on, anything you can walk away to say as a learning lesson to pass on to other firefighters as it relates to that type of situation? Anything you came across unusual, unique to take note of?
No, well, I wasn't unseen, right? I was just being informed as the incident progressed. This is the first time we've had, well, for me, that we've actually had an aircraft come down and land in the sea. It is not the first aircraft incident that we've had. We've had incidents where the front landing gear wouldn't come down, or when it came down, the wheels were turned this way instead of this way. So they had to fly around, and eventually they had to actually come down with it turned that way. Coming really slow, and soon as they dropped, they just like stop. And so I had a meeting with my guys yesterday, and I told them that once ago, incidents like these were like fairy tales, but it is becoming more and more real. And I said to us that we need to be prepared, which I said that part of what I wanted to say would mesh well, and it is meshing now. We fall under national security, and then under national security we are considered essential service workers. When we are called, we are expected to respond and be ready to perform. We can never find ourselves in a position where we have to tell persons we can't. That is unacceptable. So as essential workers, we have to make sure we come to work and we are ready. That is just an eye-opener. I pray that it doesn't happen again. But nobody knows. It's a machine, it is made by man. It will have faults and failures at some point. Now what I said to them, what happened if that was British Airways? British American Airlines that carries 100 and something persons
or more.
You guys understand the gravity of that situation, so we need to be ready. And wherever you find yourself, whether it is police, fire, EMS, you have to not lose sight of what you are employed to do, or what you chose, why you chose this profession. The profession didn't choose you, you chose it. So you have to remain committed. You have to go to work and remember why you're going to work. What I realize is that it is no longer CAS. It's no longer country above self. It is SAC, self above country. People just now focusing on self and self and self, so they start to lose focus of their calling to serve and protect, to safeguard the lives and property of persons who work 50 years of their lives to build up themselves, not to lose it in a day because essential services can't function or can't perform because we are focused on self. We have to move away from that kind of thinking. We have to not think less of ourselves. But I had it this morning. Think of yourself less without thinking less of yourself. Right? And so you're putting people more. You're concerned, you have a genuine concern for people. And when you respond, you are ready. I find that we are allowing too many nonsensical things to enter the workplace that don't have anything to do with the work, and it's affecting our performance and it's affecting our responses. We want all kind of things. We're not going to function unless we get this, unless we get that, unless we get this. But you took an oath and you swore to do this. We did not cut a deal to say I have to give you this to perform. You're getting paid. And so you have to remember you took an oath and stick to that oath. When I go to work, I go to work. I don't go to play. I go to work because I know that one mistake from me could cause the life of many. And so I am conscious of that. I'm conscious. I'm always aware of that. So when it comes to work, I don't play around. Fire department is a crucial, it is an essential, it is a must-have, it's a can't do without service. So we need to have persons who understand that we are expected to perform always. EMS, you are expected to perform with efficiency and respond always. Police, we are expected to respond and perform our duties always. We don't have an excuse to give to the public. We swear to protect them. So we have to do that at all costs. We have to do it. We have no excuse. So I have my own battles to fight at the fire department, and I'm sure all entities, all agencies have the same issues that we have. It is not genuine to fire department, but we need to come back, and as the supervisors too, who spend the better part of the day with their subordinates, they have to invest time to let their subordinates understand, reinforce it, remind them that, hey, remember what we are here for. We are here to serve and protect people. Let us not lose sight of that. And so we don't get demoralized. We don't lose focus. The work does not become more of a burden. It becomes a place where you want to be because you know what you are doing is meaningful. I mean, I'm lost for words right now. So I'm just hoping that the persons who are listening, and maybe some essential workers are listening as well, who may feel demotivated, who would not want to go to work, who doesn't feel that way. There are times when I really don't want, I prefer to stay home and sleep. But you have to remember, there is a work to be done. Somebody has to do it. You swore to do it, you took an oath to do it, then do it. And do it to the best of your ability. And I said to my officers yesterday, the day I feel like I don't want to do this anymore, I send in my resignation or retirement, whichever one, and I go home. I am not going to cause a problem for anybody. It will not be an issue. I don't want to do this anymore. I pack up and I leave, and I create a space for somebody else to contribute. So, essential workers, don't lose focus, don't lose hope, don't lose the reason why you were called or why you chose the profession that you chose. You could have chosen anything else. You chose to be a police, be a police. If you chose to be a fireman, be a fireman. If you chose to be a soldier, be a soldier. That is, you choose it. So just do it, and do it to the best of your ability. Full stop.
I am not going to ask who's going to say the last word this morning. And I don't mean to be making joke after a statement like that. I do take your statement very serious, sir. And I think that's a good note to end on this morning. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here. Thank you for sharing how the agencies, the different agencies work together to for that situation that took place there in Herbert Beach. And really appreciate your service, guys, and to the other officers who are not here, and to the other agency, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us again.
Thank you for having us, Chico.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching as well. Coming up next, we're going to be taking some time out, the next 20 minutes or so before we get into Bulletin Board this morning, to share some of those carnival releases for Sugar Mass 52. We'll be back right after this.